Greetings, valued poll listeners, and welcome to episode 111 of the Poll List Podcast, a bi-weekly show about comics, pop culture, and faith. My name is Chris Poirier, and with me, as always, is the one, the only, I can't read what it says on his shirt, Hector, and he's got a Snorlax mug and a Faith and Fandom hat and some other cool stuff. He's that guy.
I am that guy.
uh,
This is a Golden Knights Carroll Middle School T-shirt that they got.
let's go.
They gave
Golden
me.
Knights.
They gave me for teaching Bible classes at the school. They said, "I'm going to say thank you. Here's a shirt."
All right, shout out to not a sponsor, Golden Knights.
Golden Knights Middle School that none of my kids go to at this point. But yeah, it's me. Huzzah!
It us. We're here about the comics.
Barely,
Uh,
barely
save it
here.
for-
Not about the comics.
Oh, I was gonna. Well, at the same time, save it for the podcast. I mean, come on. It's been a couple months, but my goodness, Um,
I just smell.
yeah, some comics did happen. Some stuff happened.
Sort of.
Something happened. So well, you know what that means. Strap yourselves in and prepare yourselves for we've got comics time.
Better put the word out. Get ready for the nerd out. Better put specs on. Better break necks on. I cut handsome checks for my expansion sets. They call me Obi-Wan. Act like you know me, son.
Strap me on.
Going
Neon
down
glow.
the corridor. Yep. On today's episode of the Poll List, we've got a wonderful show for you. We're going to hit the latest news.
We're
Kind
assuming it's going to be wonderful. It could be hot garbage.
It's
It's rather bold of you, sir.
Yeah. Well,
Bold.
Coming back from the break, figure we got to go in hot, so we're gonna get it. We're gonna get after it. But yeah. So news. We definitely alluded that there's some of that. Our must pull recommendations from the past 2 weeks or the past month, and that kind of ties to
2
a lot of
months,
news.
3 months,
Yeah,
whatever.
news that we got to talk about. So, our favorite new number ones are some number ones that dropped in the last, time period, and so much more. This is the Poll List Podcast. Yeah. Insert break here. Yeah.
It's Sprite.
Haven't all of you just missed us? We're just a delightful bunch. So news.
You seem a little more alive and less like dying in existence.
Yeah, no. It's amazing what being on a regular work schedule can do for you, even if that schedule is 12 hours at a time. But I mean, on paper, now that I'm like into my new work schedule, I work 16 days a month. And when I think about it that way, it's kind of great.
That's pretty baller.
Yeah, no, it's 16 days a month. But that is 12 hours each of those days. So when you do that, it's actually a lot. But I never work more than 3 days back to back, and I always get at least 2 days off. And I get every other weekend off. So that's kind of dope. My busy week, I work 60 hours. My short week, I work 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a thing. So yes, I am slightly more well rested now.
Nice.
So that's kind of a great thing, which gives me more time to read the comic books for listeners like you. So news. I wish I had something nice to say here, but
There's no good news.
the
The Superman trailer was nice.
that was good. Yeah, no. And we were talking about it before the podcast that Daredevil Born Again, the trailer for that was pretty dope.
The
Looking
Fantastic
forward
Four
to that.
trailer was nice.
Yeah, no, actual Galactus.
Actual
Spoiler.
Galactus.
Yep, don't care. Yep. Congratulations, actual Galactus.
And the what was the other one? I'm personally excited for Captain America.
Captain America.
Yeah, I know there's going to be plenty of people that are hating in advance and all the things.
Oh,
but,
they're already on that bandwagon, and it's just like just watch the thing or don't. Like, could we just not?
I just wish it wasn't such a busy weekend for me. Like
That's-
I'm on the road. I've got like a conference. I've got board meetings. It's just dumb, but
Look, that sounds like you're adulting.
it's the worst.
We don't do that here.
But the trailers have been good. I'm excited for the nerd content that's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty fresh. The Amazing Spider-Man or the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I need to start. I've heard wonderful things. I like that animation style that they've been hitting on a lot of their projects lately.
I'm 2 episodes deep.
Hmm.
I
You
don't
about to tell
hate
me not to do it?
I don't hate a single thing about it,
Okay.
but
But
there's also literally nothing compelling, new, or fresh about it so far.
that's unfortunate. Because at least Into the Spider-Verse, like I felt like that was visually impressive. The music and everything just tied that package together. And then I guess part of me is like, give me more of that.
You're definitely in it's a multiverse story
Okay.
already. Or like you can tell that it's not our
Right.
Marvel verse and whatever, but it's just like it's not bad. I watched it with Carmen.
Okay.
Um, in terms of is this worth my time?
Mm,
It definitely falls far below My Adventures with Superman.
fair. Crypto.
My Adventures with Superman was wonderful.
Mm.
Like that anime was fresh. Feels like it's not bad.
But
It's like a McRib with slightly different texture. It's not like,
things that make you go, hmm.
it's not like the most revolutionary sandwich I've ever eaten, but it's like if what if we changed 20% of the texture of a McRib? That's the show.
I gotta
And then you're left asking, but which percent and what
yeah, but what
texture?
you, yeah, right? Like
And that's what you get the whole time you're watching. This is like this isn't bad.
you're just
But
like,
wait,
something's different.
yeah, yeah,
No, something's different.
makes you want to floss.
Okay. Ooh. Um, so yeah, so in physical comic books, the entire world tried to end while we were on break. Um,
As it normally does.
yeah, I'm kind of surprised though, because I'm gonna go backwards in the things that shocked me, because I caught some today while I was reading the news, and I went, "Oh no." Um, the first one that should not be shocking is IDW has had their board meetings on and off again, and they're staring at each other, going, "What are we doing? And how are we keeping the lights on?" Legitimately so, even though they still maintain the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle license and some of their other licenses, they did lose Transformers and GI Joe and like other stuff recently that they make money by licensing other people's IP. That's how IDW makes money. Um, and then they came out with their new logo that everybody made fun of. And it's just not been a good look for them lately. And apparently, their last financials call, like everyone was like, "So seriously, are we just moving the deck chairs around on the Titanic again here, or what?" They're like, "Everything is fine. Do not panic." Fire. So uh, that's a thing. Dark Horse apparently did cross the board layoffs this week, which kind of caught me off guard. Marketing through talent, through creative, everything. And they're not a big shop to begin with. They've always run pretty tight. So the industry's contracting a little right now. It could be due to the last piece of news, which for all of our comic book folks, I've already heard it, but Diamond Distributors also declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy over the break and basically put middle to smaller shops into a tailspin. Um, because yes, there are other distributors since the whole COVID thing occurred that we picked up Lunar, we picked up other people that were distributing, and then people kind of moved around, and Diamond was losing distributorship of a lot of folks, but this was compounded by they were having lots of shipping problems. They closed one of their distribution centers over the last 3 months, which impacted distribution to a lot of places. And then they just put their hands up and said, "We don't make money no more. Somebody please buy me." Um, Most shops right now, except for the major ones, because capitalism, are 1 to 2 weeks behind on most of their deliveries right now. I don't know what you're seeing in your area, but I'm at about a week behind on most major stuff that isn't Lunar distributed. Like Lunar is up to speed and all that, but I'm starting to feel for all the smaller dudes because Diamond also gave pretty good entry points for small shops. Um, their terms in terms of getting to pay for deliveries usually you could build credit with Diamond faster, which is another way to say there's probably a reason why Diamond is in bankruptcy. Um, but like with Penguin, Random House, and with Lunar, they're basically not extending credit to anyone until you have history, which means for a lot of smaller shops that have kind of been struggling since COVID, there's not a lot of credit available, which means a lot of shops aren't buying as many books, which means throughput on a lot of smaller shops is really hard right now. So this is Chris's way of saying, go to your local shop and buy stuff. Like
Yeah,
if you care about the comic industry right now, it is time to go to your local shops.
I've been doing that since we started
Yeah.
this podcast.
Yeah, no,
Because
Chris and Hector are keeping a handful of small comic book shops open. um,
I've personally buried 2 comic book shops that I went out of my way to support. Um, but I mean, even like before we were at the pull list, like when we were like in your
Yep.
front seat of your Jeep truck or whatever,
that was
like
great.
making a podcast. Like
Back in the Dizzy.
yeah, I was like buying digital, and then the COVID hit, and I was like, okay, or not, yeah. And then COVID hit, and I'm like, all right, physical medium and
Yep.
all that jazz. So yeah, it's a
No,
thing.
it's so. If you see a comic book store owner, give them a hug because they need it right about now. And also tied to that is supplies. Diamond was one of the major redistributors of BCW, and also other providers of bags and boards and boxes and everything. And that relationship kind of severed. So BCW is back to their thing, and their threshold for buying stuff in bulk on the cheap is way higher than it was at Diamond. So a lot of smaller shops are also having to pay more for supplies than they were just a month ago. So if you come to us to hear to hear Chris go on a random tirade about the industry, hi, I've been holding this in for a month. um, as I've been watching all my folks try to figure out what to do. And probably the last bit that's the most interesting about it, that is the biggest piece, is a lot of like Marvel decided where they're going, DC decided where they're going, Image decided where they're going, but a lot of the independents have not chosen whether they're going to Lunar or if they're where they're going to go for distribution. And that is the conversation that is currently happening. Some shops are going back to the way old school thing of we will go back to self-publishing and direct ship, which sounds like a lot of work, but for some independents, it's almost easier because they've been doing that through Kickstarter and other types of crowdfunding platforms anyway, that things have gotten a little easier to self-distribute. So things are weird, for a lack of a better term, in comics right now. Simply because the stuff has to get to the shelf to be sold. Oh, yes. Sorry. ADHD brain on this one hugely, because the other piece, there's 2 other pieces that kind of get wrapped into the Diamond thing, and that is the previews catalog, which half of you just went, the what? Um, the previews catalog and the previews thing is all tied to Diamond's infrastructure. So if the whole thing collapses and the company goes away, so does it.
Where are we going to link people to when we put our notes in?
Right. And that's just for that. But I know for a fact, having been a retailer myself and knowing my current shop, there are still people that literally pull a physical order form out of a previews and still order that way. I know, wild, but they exist. And these are collectors that have been doing it for a hot minute. So that's interesting. But then the last piece is Free Comic Book Day. This year's books have already been in the printing cycle from the big 2. But in terms of all the marketing, everything that is the underpinning of how Free Comic Book Day works was part of the Diamond suite of companies, catalogs, and everything. And there's been a great deal of debate on whether Free Comic Book Day will exist in even its normal form this year, or what it will be going forward in general, because Diamond also just helps subsidize a lot of those books so that the cost can be low, so that it can occur the way that it does. So some people have been having the debate just in general of what does Free Comic Book Day look like going forward. So to say that a seismic shift in the comic book industry occurred in the last 30 days is a slight understatement, which leads into a huge another conversation of, is somebody going to buy them? And the current answer right now is nobody know. And there's also the debate of, is that infrastructure worth buying? because was it working? And technically, the last 4 years have kind of showed us that maybe it wasn't.
I feel like Midtown could do it.
So Midtown is
if they expanded.
They're one of the people in the list. I've linked in our notes. Bleeding Cool's over under list of the top 10 companies that they think could go in. Lunar and Penguin Random House are actually much higher on that list than Midtown currently.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But Midtown took initiative during the switcheroos.
Yep. So it's a good opportunity for somebody to get in and potentially make things more better. Like, no doubt. But I think that's going to be tied to the larger conversation that a lot of folks have been having in comics in general of is it means that 2025 is most likely going to be the year that we get to hear is the brick and mortar comic book store dying again.
Yeah, man.
And we have
already
that
loaded into the deck.
Yeah, we have this conversation every other year in the industry in general, but this feels like extra special this year that everyone's just going to be like, cool, let's freak out and put our hair on fire. But the good news is the retailers are out there still doing their thing. People are still buying comic books. People are still writing them. We have books to talk about. I'm still out here hoping, praying for good comic books, but here we are. So yeah.
Meanwhile, companies that just make parody and pun based comics thrive.
Nailed it. Yeah, right? Yeah, we have friends that live solely in that space and are doing just fine. So proud of you guys. Making fun of stuff. Making the comics. So proud.
Hey, what's a word we can substitute? Let's make a whole comic book about it.
Man, if Potsy listens to us, he's absolutely tagging us after this one.
But he does it well.
No,
and listen, it's not all that too, because they make plenty of original stuff. But
absolutely,
there are companies that make money because they just make puns, and people will say, "Hey, that's clever," and spend $3 on it.
Keen spot. That is their sweet spot. Like there's literally no shame in that.
It's in the name. It's the keen spot.
It's right there. Nailed it. And our friend there gets his free trip to San Diego just about every year off from that. So can't hate the hustle. There's nothing wrong with that. So, I mean, I feel like I'm just beating news to death if I go any deeper in any of that, but
I have news and I put it in the side of the notes. I don't know if you saw.
Oh, my bad.
But I didn't, I'm not normally actually on time to actually put stuff in the paperwork. So, in sad
Did
news,
you get your TPS reports in on time?
In sad news.
Oh, yeah. No, we probably should mention that. Huh?
We do need to mention this. Neil Gaiman has had a rough go of it since we took a break. There was stuff previously already there, and Good Omens had been shortened from a third season to a one episode
90-minute wrap up. Yeah,
peace out. Which is already beyond where the book is anyway. Yep. But the thing is that also left Netflix's Sandman in like its own, what's the word? Morbid state of decay while they were waiting on the shoe to drop.
Oh yeah, and Friends, it's not great.
Now here's the deal. I loved the Sandman season 1.
Yes.
And there's enough material to make it go, but Netflix has announced that they will be canceling it with season 2. And they're saying that was the plan the whole time.
Yeah,
but
you see,
that's the part I don't like.
No,
y'all know you lying.
you need to own the reality that
hey, we're in a tough spot because the creator and narrator of this show is being accused of things. And not good things. And we're safely backing away from this. Listen, I'm surprised they're even releasing this season. I would be sad if they didn't. Now, here's the deal. As it stands on whatever February 5th, 2025, we say this, Neil Gaiman is still 100% denying all of this.
Yeah.
Now, we can't testify to his innocence, but the man is also saying he's not guilty, which still leaves all the people connected to him in a really weird place. So Netflix season 2 of The Sandman will drop, and that will be it. And I feel like there's a lot of wasted potential there. All the Gwendolyn Christie moments we're not going to get. All the stuff that's going to happen. Sad days.
Ton of Sandman.
But they said they were only worried about Dream's story in the first place. They weren't going to go down any of the other rabbit holes.
I mean, Sandman does get weird after the dream stuff.
Yeah,
It
but
does
still,
get real weird.
but I'm like through 3 volumes of the audiobook,
Mm.
like way down the line, and not all it doesn't always have to have Dream to be great, but whatever. But
Fair.
also, Dark Horse canceled the Anansi Boys, which was the Neil Gaiman's new comic book that he was making.
Mm.
It has been canceled, and the issue that drops in March will be the last one. So we're seeing that kind of spread across the waves. And I don't think you do celebrity gossipy stuff as much as I do. And
No,
I,
I'm generally good.
yeah, I've been keeping receipts on this because I've been doing my little news podcast on Fridays. Are you up to date on the whole situation between Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni?
Yeah, I'm at least casually aware of it and all of the nonsense that there is in related. But
Okay,
yeah, it's
so
a lot.
it went from the accusations from Lively to the accusations from
Yep.
Baldoni. Now, Baldoni has this week published a website of all the ways that he's correct and with all the receipts, videos, voicemails, and whatever to prove it. Now, here's the only thing I'm going to cover about this because this is a level of diabolical
Mhm.
that is beyond me. Um, if you look up, go ahead and look up IMDb this, Google it, whatever.
Mm.
What actor plays Nice Pool in Deadpool versus Wolverine? In the credits, see if you can pull this up. What actor is credited as Nice Pool?
Gordon Reynolds.
Gordon Reynolds.
Yeah.
Gordon Reynolds is credited as playing Nice Pool in Deadpool versus Wolverine. Part of the lawsuit between the Baldonis and the Reynoldses is that Nice Pool was a satire slash parody slash farce version of Justin Baldoni. And because he wore a man bun whenever he wasn't filming, talks about women's equality, things of that nature.
Oh,
And then Blake Lively's character is the one who shows up and blows him to smithereens. Now, that's the beginning of it. This is how diabolical this is, dude. This is super villain level.
this is an Omega level threat.
This is Dark Side says Blake Lively is. This is where this is. Because I can't attest to any of the other allegations, but the fact that this exists is super villain level. Ready?
Okay.
The movie that Justin Baldoni directed is called It Ends With Us.
Right.
Right, you're aware of this.
Yes.
In the credits of It Ends With Us, Lively had put special thanks to Gordon Reynolds. So in Homeboy's movie, she put a special thanks credit to the mockery version of him in her husband's movie. My God, it would have been bad enough just to let it sit in Deadpool versus Wolverine, but the fact that you put that reference in this man's own movie, that's some dark side Lex Luthor level supervillainry.
That's cold.
It's in my man's movie, bro. Like he's credited. They put Nice Pool in the movie. And I'm just like, how? I was like, I understand like that there's some offended people in all of these situations, but to put the man on blast in the credits of his own film, which was part of the reasons why Baldoni uh petitioned Disney and Marvel for all of the records showing the creation of the character of Nice Pool. Because my man put this movie out without ever seeing that credit in there. And then it was pointed out to him. See? You're laughing because it's maniacal.
Because it's great. I mean, it's wrong, but
Ugh.
that's that's
I told
mm.
you, bro, that's supervillain level maniacal.
Hollywood is not for the faint of heart.
People aren't for the faint of heart,
Mhm.
and no matter where they are. But I
No,
digress.
no comment.
Yeah. All right. We should talk about comic books.
Yeah, should we talk about comics again?
Yeah, let's do
Wow.
that. Deep dive.
All right, yeah. So that is what you need to know. That was our biweekly look at the industry and delivering you all the insider knowledge and everything that Hector has dug up on IMDb and his sleuthiness. As
It's all
always,
Daily Mail. I'm not really doing much.
you cheater, but it counts. Whatever, it counts. Don't show your notes. How dare you? As always, you can join the conversation with Hector and I and all of your nerdy friends over on the Love Thy Nerd Discord. Begin your geeky adventure together with us. Tell us what you liked, what you hated, or possibly what we missed. We probably did. It's been like what, 3 months? I don't know.
Yes. October. I don't know.
I don't know. It's days, months, years. What day is it even? Um, oh yeah, I can tell. The computer told me, so I know what day it is. So never mind. Um, So yeah, what did you read? What was good? You had things that were good?
I had things, sort of. I'm gonna be honest. I've read a mountain of comic books since we last broke,
Mm.
and it was still a struggle to say, here's 5 things I recommend.
So same, but my ketchup pile also felt not quite half the size as before, but significantly less. Um, mm.
I tried a lot of new things, didn't like them.
I bought a lot of things that I think I read 2 pages of a lot of books, which is a really painful fiscal investment in reviewing comic books. So you're welcome.
So I definitely like so I keep one short box beside my desk, and when I read comics, they go in there. I filled up like those short boxes since the fall,
Mm.
and so I sorted through them the other night to toss what isn't staying. I put out an entire short box
Mm.
of stuff I'm never going to look at again that I'm probably going to give away or sell or something. But I digress. All right, let's hit some comics. You doing that? That a thing
Yeah,
now?
yeah. Let's do the thing.
So, first off, I'm going to jump to Delicious and Dungeon. Um, uh, it was going to happen at some point, but I rewatched the series with my daughter,
Mm.
and because I needed to make notes for a devotional,
Mm.
and then we ended up in a Barnes and Noble or a Books a Million or something, and like she's like, "Dude, let's do this." So, for the record, let me just state that if you watch the anime of Delicious and Dungeon,
Mm.
the next manga that you need to pick up if you want to finish the story is number 8.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, if you want to pick up right where the show is,
Where it starts or where it drops off.
um, like right where the show ends
Okay,
for season 1, it is halfway through book 8. Well,
cool.
let's not even say halfway through book 8. It's the first chapter of book 8 is the finale of season 1. Um,
And it was a delightful show.
and it was delightful. And it I can say this, it gets better and you can see them moving towards a climax. There's not like this isn't like Attack on Titan or something that's got 40 bajillion books to this.
Right.
I think it's under 20.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. But book 8 for Delicious and Dungeon if you want to pick it up. But book 10 is the book I actually really enjoyed. You watched the show, right?
Yeah, we didn't finish season one yet, but it's one I need to circle back on and complete because when we started it, we were like, "Oh, this is fun."
Yeah, you do need to complete it. But season or book 10 has Monty Python level rabbits, a
Yes.
whole dungeon full of those. The gang ends up in the Mad Monk's house, like physically there in Homeboy's house. Um, a lot of people die. Like, I know there's
I mean,
resurrection.
it's anime, so I'm not super shocked by this reality.
But you get a lot more Fallon, them attempting to rescue Fallon. Um, There's just a lot of good stuff in here. And I stopped at book 10 just for financial reasons. But this by itself was probably the most fun thing I've read since October. Just this one volume. So, Delicious in Dungeon, book 10. Check that out. Just book 8. Toss it over there. Um, I'm not gonna have it up here to show, but Absolute Wonder Woman number 4 was a banger. So was 3. Um, I will stand firmly now, 4 issues deep into all of them, that the power rating has shifted.
Mhm.
Absolute Wonder Woman is better than Absolute Batman. Um, by a good 4 or 5 steps. Absolute Superman is confusing and like
I kind of felt that way from the first book that I was like, I want to like this, but it's just not as good as Batman. And
it's not as good. It's disinteresting and it's a bit confusing in the storytelling.
Hmm.
Wonder Woman is clear as day. And it just continually gets better. Her character interactions are great. Chef's kiss all around. Um, I'm sad that there's only one more issue to come, but Absolute Wonder Woman has been a gift and probably the best. It's been definitely the best out of the Absolute series for me. Um, and with things like Wonder Woman Dead Earth, which was only a 4 issue book,
which was
um,
so good though, so
that
good.
was maybe one of the best Wonder Woman books ever, or best stories ever for out of DC's whole canon. Um, and I don't feel like this is Dead Earth level, but dang it, it's close. So
That says something,
yeah, that says something.
especially on our years of reading and talking about stuff that stands up there.
Uh,
I'm still
back
looking for a Mr. Miracle
she's
level of
uh
good
of good.
King's Run. Yeah.
Did you see that they released the Absolute Edition?
Ooh.
Uh,
Go Google.
sir, the packaging alone is going to get you. You might not want to do this. Don't type it, Chris, because the packaging actually has a prison.
Yeah, but I can work overtimes. It's fine.
But yeah, they released the Absolute Edition, and my boy, it looks crisp. It is so nice. But Mr. Miracle's always on my mind because there's a autographed print of Darkseid eating a vegetable tray
The
in,
vegetable tray.
on my office wall. Um, but next on my pulls
Always
is
bring a vegetable tray, bro.
Monte Cristo. It is a
Ooh.
hardback graphic novel. I kickstarted this, but it's available everywhere now. Um, and it is a modern day retelling of the Count of Monte Cristo. I'm going to try and show you some art right here. The Count of Monte Cristo is one of my. This has strong like uh nice house by the lake
Yeah,
vibes
that's
in
cool.
terms of art. Let me see if I can pull some other pages. Um, Here, so
Mm.
look right here. Wait,
Ooh, that's pretty.
it's
And
pretty.
also, this is quite good, but $115. Yep, got it.
That's I mean, that's not bad compared to what Absolute books have been. Because I want to say that Absolute Hush was 120 originally.
That checks.
Um, but I digress. So this takes place where the Count of Monte Cristo, is a couple 100-year-old story. This is a dude who maybe works as a translator in Arabic countries around 9/11.
Interesting.
And so he gets framed for like some traitorous stuff and thrown in a hole in the wall of prison, because he's accidentally uncovering some government cover-ups. And so it's the entire story of County Monte Cristo told in a time of cell phones and you know, what's xenophobia and all the things that come with our culture. Um, this will be a bit of a departure for some folks because one of the things that is such an anchor of Count of Monte Cristo, if you are a believer, is the Jesus ties to the story here and there
Hmm.
in his faith. He's Muslim in this, which doesn't necessarily make it not a good story, but like there's going to be somebody that's going to be like gasp and thrown off by that completely. Um, it retails now for $29. You can get it pretty much anywhere comics and books are sold. You can probably order it through your local comic book shop because I saw them advertise it. Um, This is not as good as just straight up reading the Count of Monte Cristo, but if you want a comic book version, the art is stellar. I've got a print of this right here on my office wall, and there's definitely good stuff. There's good redemption stories and things there, but like I don't know, when I read the actual novel of Counting Monte Cristo, like I walk away feeling like my soul's been on a journey, and this was like cool. This is the Netflix adaptation. So it's good. It's fun. I'm glad I read it. I don't know that it's going to be steadily on my repeat readings, but it was definitely a fun read. And then, Batgirl number 3 was my other standard pull. Um, just that was, the Daredevil hallway scenes. It's that in a book.
Which one?
Batgirl number 3.
Oh, yeah. No, I was Batgirl. I left off my list because I had a feeling
Yeah.
it would maintain on yours, and it is one of the new all-in books that is sticking with me so far with the storytelling and everything that's going on there. That um, I'm not always a Batgirl fan, but this has been fun.
Yeah. And issue 3 is better than issue 4,
Hmm.
but it's not bad. But like the whole train Scott Pilgrim slash Daredevil hallway thing was just good storytelling, and her responses, and just the captions for her reading people's responses is one of my favorite things. Like she'll see somebody move and be like, truth, lie,
Yeah.
fear. Like, she's like translating touches and movements into feelings and stuff like that. So that was consistently good for me. There's a lot of other stuff that I read. I've been on Detective. I've been on Batman. Um, I
I'm
tried.
kind of waiting for Batman to settle into something. I still feel like I don't know.
Well, here's the deal. You've got one issue left of Zdarsky.
Yeah.
I think that came out today or
Um,
last week.
somewhere in there.
But 157 of Batman came out last week or this week. 158 starts Hush 2.
Right.
And that's what, you're going to want to be on that. You're going to want to get the covers. You want to do all the things. And a neat thing, I don't know if you've seen this in the lead up to it. DC's been re-releasing Hush original with metallic covers for each one.
Hmm.
So, but they're doing it month to month.
All of Hector's monies goes away.
Well, I'm waiting just to buy issue 610 with the cover because that's the one. It's literally, if I can get to it without damaging anything. Sure. It's this cover, which is why I
Mm.
have the Funko Pop of it. This cover, I had to destroy this book at Walden Books because we had to throw all the comic books away.
Mm.
And like throwing or destroying this cover, I was like, man, that's pretty art. And I sat down on a stool at Walden's and started reading that, and it got me reading comics again. So I give that one issue credit with me being here in this conversation. But they're re-releasing that. But issue 158 of Batman will start Hush 2. So beyond that.
Be about that.
Be about that. Now, if Delicious in Dungeon 11 was or 10 was my best thing I read, my new number 1 was my second best thing, but we'll get there.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. And I'm just gonna say now I didn't see that book, so I'm looking forward to hearing your things about
Wait till I tell you because it's got two of your favorite words in it.
it.
Guess what they are?
Ah.
Police procedural.
Seems a little on the nose now, but
Yeah.
we'll go with it. It's fine. Um,
You like police procedurals before you proceeded as a police rule.
before I proceeded to police procedural.
Yeah. What you got?
Um, so that little book called Minor Arcana.
And I've yet to see that in my shop, period.
I believe it because I mean it's Lemire, right? But it's under Boom. So depending on shops ordering practices and everything, if somebody's not pulling it, they're probably not ordering it. I am probably the only person that keeps this book coming into my shop.
I'm gonna make a note too. Whisper Queen, that was
Mm.
by Zdarsky, back in like September, October, whatever. I bought this one and kept waiting to see more of it at my shop, and they never ordered more. I bought the other two issues on Kindle yesterday because I was like, you know what? I need to see how this is. There's only three
You're
issues, by
like,
the way.
yeah, no, they're minis. But yep. So this is Lemire weird. The daughter running mom's tarot card reading shop, and the whole thing of, oh, it's a joke, but the whole story is like she actually has powers of some type and she can tap into it, and we're getting closer to how she actually taps into it, and it actually has something to do with her father or grandfather. There's another familial connection there, and they're kind of unfolding all that. But Jeff Lemire's general storytelling arc, small town in Canada, people coming home to take care of family members that are dying. Um, there's a lot of truth that this is a lot of his stories. But each one of them kind of has a different little twist to it. And this one is the whole tarot card reading thing. And he, he paints pages. They're pretty. What can I say? I'm a sucker for apparently Canadian weird stories about dying family members and weird things going on. Almost if it was a police procedural thing, it would be just as interesting, but it's different.
Boom,
Yeah, if it was made by if this was made by Dick Wolf, it'd be great.
Produced
And
by
like,
Dick Wolf.
and only half of you got that joke, and the rest of you, I'm sorry. Um, watch more TV, kids. Um, watch good TV, I should say, because man,
Is it though?
I mean, it was enough. Because go look at that dude's credits in terms of police procedurals, and it's dumb.
Oh, I get it. And he is the
He's
police
the guy.
procedural of TV as James Patterson is the books.
There you go. No, that's good. But to be fair, there's a weird thing going on that, I mean, I get it. It's my genre, but my Hulu feed is almost all current procedurals, and they're all like really different, weird types of shows, though. And I don't know what to do with that because I'm talking like Will Trent.
Yeah, I could see you rocking with that.
I mean, yeah, I kind of got the Georgia thing, so like I know GBI guys and stuff like that, so that's like kind of funny. Um, high potential, which shouldn't be as good as it is, but
The one
is
with
for some
the
reason.
sunny lady?
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah, I gave it a shot, and I was like, I don't hate this. It's kind of fun. Um, the Rookie, like I think all these shows are also ABC. So ABC, what are you doing?
The so have you finished The Rookie?
I'm caught up through today.
The cop cutie thing is gold.
Yeah,
I've not seen more than one episode of The Rookie,
but
but
you've seen that, yeah.
I've seen the cop cutie and the cop cutie
The
like
second
return.
one,
The
yeah,
second one, that
yep.
stuff was gold.
Oh no, they're good. They're like that, and for anyone in law enforcement, that show is literally a product placement for two major law enforcement brands, and literally no one would know that except for it. It is literally an Axon body camera commercial, the whole thing, and then Lifeline body armor. It's like stupid obvious and kind of random and weird, but there you go, cop stuff. Um, I just think it's funny that Axon is paying for their brand to be. Anytime there's body camera stuff, it's exactly how it looks in an Axon display. And I was like, you paid money for that. Okay. Anyway.
It's effective. You're talking about it on this podcast.
Yeah,
So,
here we are. Yeah, it worked.
mission accomplished.
They're like taking all of his money. Not mine. It's tax dollars, whatever.
Which is still your money.
Still, dang it. I pay my own paycheck. It's weird.
It is.
That makes me feel dirty. So
I tithe at my church, so you know.
yeah, no, yeah, been there, done that too.
Yeah,
I love it when people do that and they're like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, anyway, Daredevil unleash hell.
Didn't
This
see
one was
that.
this one is in the naughty bag. So Marvel has their Red Band series right now. Um, and they're on polybags and they're mature. Um, I had to get halfway through this book to find the part that made me go, why did it require you to put it in a polybag other than to make a bunch of people buy it?
Yes.
Because you get halfway through this book and they still don't swear because it's Marvel, but this is an explicit book. Um, so it's still, the graphed out text whenever they swear. But it is incredibly violent by the end of this. So I finally hit the end of it and I went, oh, there it is. This is cool. And it's important to the show coming up, and it's probably why they're doing it. Is so Elektra as Daredevil comes back into contact with Muse. They take Muse's creativity with body parts to an extent that earn this a polybag.
Is it a one shot? Is it ongoing? What's the deal?
I think there's going to be a few because it did not end at the end. There's definitely a two. So there's
I saw it on your list and then I was like, oh, I never saw this. Where was this at? So.
Yeah. So bloody violent in a Marvel way. Not in a Deadpool way, like slightly more graphic than Deadpool, haha. But the Red Band Marvel stuff is a gimmick. Like I read the werewolf one, and that one didn't make any sense why it was in a explicit poly bag, but makes people buy the things. People do love them some explicit comics. I got nothing. I'll save that one for last and talk about my weird one in the middle. So Ghost Machine, which I have absolutely read every single book of.
I saw that listed, but I didn't know what that,
Yeah, so it's interesting. So Hornsby and Halo, which looking at the cover, you probably get that there's a little heaven and hell thing going on here.
Mm-hmm.
It is literally that the Battle of Apocalypse has taken place, or a battle has taken place. Parties in the middle. A child of a fallen and of an upstairs gets sent down to Earth afterwards as humans. And they're in high school. And the first two issues of this book are literally them finding out that one is an angel and one is a demon. And they kind of play off each other. Like there's not a lot of depth here except for that at the moment. That they both are like, we've got powers, and that one's a boy, one's a girl, so they're definitely going to play like all the things of high school, and one's a demon and one is an angel, and like they both end up the climax of their first kind of outing is they go to a cemetery because the angel follows some grave robbers there, and he's like, no, and he like stops them and stuff. But the demon's like, ooh, cool. Free stuffs, and steals all the stuff and pawns everything and makes like a bunch of money off from the dead people's stuff. And the angel's like, wait, what? So, it's like they're literally doing the on two shoulders thing, except they're standing side by side. So that
we get to be the shoulders they're standing on.
Yeah, we're gonna see how this one plays out, okay, fam? I did read the Rockefellers, which is another new book that's kind of in that, which is kind of Ghost Machine's to say Fantastic Four is not quite right, but there's a play.
That's an accurate statement if you're buying these comics.
Yeah. But you probably haven't read the Rockefellers or know the concept, but it's more like Lost in Space, maybe, but it's more Lost in Time. But it is a family of pretty smart time traveling folks that are all over the place. It was just a little out there on my thing, but if you're into Ghost Machine and you're trying to figure out the whole unnamed universe and everything, I haven't read anything yet that makes me go, that wasn't worth my at least cost of admission to find out what's going on here. Because I also read all the Hyde Street entries, which is their horror line of the story, and those are twisted. not my cup of tea, but I guarantee anybody that was like into Ice Cream Man or like any of those like anthology type things, probably dig it. So they're just doing something right over there, and I don't know what it is, except maybe they just channeled the 90s and it's working right now. I've said that more than once about what they're doing, and that's probably true. And then finally, I am still just really enjoying Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, even though that's like the longest title to say ever.
It is the type in the computer systems too.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I need to search for this book, Batman, the Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, number. Um, Art's amazing, but that was expected. Story so far is still kind of great. I This is what I want from Batman.
Yeah.
This.
But I
This.
mean, guess what? It's Jeff Loeb.
Yeah. No, I mean, like
Guess what? That's who's about to be writing Batman 158. Ta-da.
everything's going to be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Batman's wonderful again. Um and like everybody's involved here by this point, just about everybody. Um and yeah, I don't have to sell that any harder. Like that is there's great Batman stuff, there's great Robin and Alfred stuff in that issue. I won't give up what happens there because it's like some of the feels happen there. Um but it's Long Halloween, so suffice it to say, lots of people get shot
With the little tiny gun.
with a little tiny gun, but everybody gets shot. So, yes. Um, and they're just inviting more and more clowns to the party. So, see what I did there? It's good. Hey. All right. So, hit me with this police procedural that I didn't get to see.
Okay. Now, this is from Mad Cave Studios, which I didn't know existed.
It is the thing. Um, my guy's been carrying some Mad Cave stuff, but I didn't see this. Unfortunate. Yeah.
Okay. So the issue opens with a dude punting a dog across an interstate like Anchorman, like kicking Baxter off the bridge type situation. It's how the book
Mm.
opens, and it rewinds a little bit. But the whole thing is, and this is very much what's the show you mentioned with Sunny Lady in it,
Yeah, high potential.
High Potential. So check this out. Pink girl walks into a police station to meet up with a partner type person, very castle, very high potential, whatever. Um, and this young lady has a gifty vibe, and here's her gifty vibe. She sees strings, um, that
Oh.
literally link people. So check it out. Uh, if there's a blue string between two people, they've been intimate.
Ooh.
And so like she walks up, she's like, see that lady right there and the painter?
Mm.
They've been there, and she's like, see how bright the blue is? And the dude she's talking to can't see it, and he's like, the blue's really bright. That means it's been really recent. And she's like, what?
Should we talk about the fact that the cover is a blue string connecting her to everybody on it?
That's a really great question
Just saying.
because it didn't pay attention to that. So good job.
As you're
Uh,
saying that, I'm sitting here looking at the preview of it going,
but so when she's saying that, she doesn't realize that the lady in front of him is her partner's girlfriend. And so she just straight outs his girlfriend for cheating on him. But so there's blue
he
strings for
didn't
he
know.
didn't know there's blue strings for that. And so far there's only been two strings introduced, and I feel like this is going to be a lantern type situation. Um,
Well, I mean, there has to be red eventually.
there's no red
What?
yet. But what there is there's a black string.
I was gonna say, is black the next one?
Black is the
I
next
could have
one,
gone either way.
and a black string leads you between a murdered person and the person that murdered them.
Yeah, I see. I was going back and forth whether it was gonna be red or black.
And so like they found a body and then literally just started following the trail, and chasing down the cadaver. Now, like, this is not in a poly bag, and this has no mature warning.
Right.
But let me state, warning.
Right.
Uh,
So that was going to be my only comment, like, is that Marvel does this whole thing of putting them in polybags, explicit red band, and like pick up any image book and it's more graphic.
it's a million times that.
Way more graphic.
And so one of the things that mentioned is that she operates a lot of times as a private detective,
Mm.
um, finding people that are cheating on their spouses and stuff like that. And one of those times, and it's just one
Ooh,
panel. Hope you didn't see that one.
it's
Um,
spicy.
it's just one panel where she accidentally walks into a group room, and it's just literally like following up, like, oh, large amounts of people. And like you could take out that one panel, and this would be moderately family friendly. But it does have one panel that will make any black label or red label book laugh because they don't have the stringular fortitude to do something like that. This was really fun. This was a good book to read. I enjoyed it. I wanted to read more of it. I could have lived without the one panel. Um, but my comic book shop never got more issues of this.
Bummer.
This is issue one. Issue two came out a little while ago. Issue three dropped today. So, and what makes matters, I guess not technically worse, they don't do this label digitally.
That's probably true. Yeah, Mad Cave, I don't think does do any of their stuff.
So I had to go order this from Midtown for issue two and three, which will be on my doorstep somewhere in the near future. So I'm gonna try and talk to my comic book shop to get on it for the
Get back on
remainders.
that.
Yeah, because I picked this up because this was in a random slot in the indies, and it looked
Yep.
interesting. Because I'm always looking for number ones just for this purpose.
Yep. Same.
And now I will say, "Lay My Vengeance Upon You." Hot garbage. Did not enjoy that. Is that your number one?
No, no, no. Um,
You sure?
it's not. No, it's not. I had some. I read a lot of number ones and not a lot hit. So I kind of I sold out and I went with the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number one, which is technically the pre to the show. Um, I think there's going to be more than one of these. I don't think it's a one shot that leads in, but maybe it is. But it does supposedly this takes place prior to where the show picks up.
Does he have any Spider-Man powers yet?
Just barely got him.
Okay, then that'll run through the first episode then.
Yeah, he got bit like in the first thing. You meet the goth girl, and that's kind of where you're at. But
So
similar style. I think the writer is the same for both. I think Christos wrote the show and the book.
that sounds right. Just receive credits.
Yeah, because I mean, Gage is a show writer that does comics, so it'd be weird that he wouldn't be writing his own screenplay. Christos is a dude that called North Carolina home, so when he's not in Hollywood, he came and hung with us from time to time. He's a fun dude. So anytime that I can say good things about people that I've had the pleasure of seeing do cool stuff. This book looks like the show, so the art's cool. And I like the style for this, especially for Spider-Man. And kind of like I've said other times that I've picked up Spider-Man books, I just like Peter Parker being in high school and doing dumb teenager things.
I will say that's the thing I enjoyed most. There was at one point in the first episode or two, you see him like swinging beside a train, like bantering with kids. I was like, this is the time period where I like Peter Parker because
Yep.
and that's been my beef. Like, and I've ranted, I probably published this in a couple books already of just saying, I like Spider-Man when he's a teenager because he's a terrible adult.
Right. And Marvel's whole thing and Stan Lee's whole thing was that he wanted his readership to grow up with Spider-Man. So Spider-Man had to become an adult and basically a terrible adult at some point to progress stories and everything. And that's why even in super old canon of and Peter Parker gets married. Like literally you go through the whole freaking thing, right? But I agree that I feel like Peter Parker is the most fun when it's this kid literally just trips over superpowers and is figuring that out on top of just figuring out freaking high school. I think all of us had, we didn't get bit by radioactive spiders, but we dealt with high school.
This is, originally when the show was proposed, it was going to be canon to the MCU, and then they detoured from that route. A couple, just heads up for you that watch this, or just for you. There are a couple shots that they remade shot for shot from Spider-Man Homecoming.
Mm.
When Tony Stark holds up the phone to show him the evidence that he's Spider-Man, that shot is remade completely in the cartoon.
Oh, that's cool.
Not the phone thing, like what's
Yeah.
on the phone is completely redone. And then the shot of him walking into his apartment to the point where Aunt May was waiting with a special guest, like that's remade completely. So those are some nice little nods.
Like one does. Marvel tends to do that, and most of the time do that fairly well. So, man, I think that was a podcast.
As a podcast.
That was a podcast. We did the thing.
I got both my podcasts for this first 2 weeks done on time. Now I'm going to be late.
Go.
I'm going to be late the rest of the year.
Oh, don't jinx it.
for mine, not for us. I believe in us. I believe in us. I don't believe in me.
No, that's fair. But that is, in fact, going to do it for us here on the Pull List Podcast, episode 111. Triple ones, the 111 is in the books, in your ears, your eyeballs, all of those places. You can, as you have learned over the last few seasons, catch us over on YouTube, but you can also check us out on the Love Thy Nerd podcast network. So lovethynerd.com for info, previous episodes, more about Hector and I. Hector's 17 other shows. He's going to start counting and trying to keep up.
I think
with
it's 4. I think it's 4.
Chris has a podcast.
I do Bible Thump like once a year or two.
Yeah. Okay.
I got the 180.
Yep.
Which is weekly, and then my interview one. So it's not a lot.
It's nothing. Just Hector makes things for internets.
Yes.
And we're super proud of him for that because he does cool stuff. So go check out Hector's other shows and all the other cool stuff over on Love Thy Nerd. Like they keep adding stuff too. We keep talking about Matt and the gang over there, and he keeps trying to find cool nerdy stuff for you. So if you're into other things, I know there's role playing stuff over there. There's tabletop stuff, just nerd history and nerd news in general. So, just slam that link, like and subscribe. Hit that button, baby. We are
Slam that link.
Slam that link. But we are not monetized, so that means absolutely nothing for Chris and Hector. So absolutely nothing. But and also, if you've got one of those cool little Roku things, you can look for us on the Glue network, which is GLU, and there's an app over there, and you will find us under the Love Thy Nerd stuff on that. So you can watch us on your televisions if you even want to. So check that stuff out. But
in black and white and color.
Ooh, fancy. It's 2025, baby. So Hector and I do want to thank you for choosing us as your primary comic book knowledge factory on a near weekly basis. So don't leave us hanging. Rate and review the show on any of those multitude of wonderful places I just mentioned. We're on iTunes.
Go back and like all the YouTube videos.
Every single one.
My channel, Chris's channel, all the channels.
hit slam that like and subscribe. We got to do the thing. But thanks for listening. We love you guys. We're back, baby. So remember, kids, read more comics.
Deuces, ooses.
I'm gonna take all 7 continents as a game of risk.